Hi everyone, my name is Digvijay and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Pick Up Pencil. So far in the videos we are learning about the variables and we are even defining a lot of variables. Some of them are integer, string, boolean. But in today's video we are going to learn more on what happens when we define a variable, what actually happens in the memory, like how Java or Java virtual machine, also called JVM, stores those variables into the memory. So in order to store all those variables into the memory, Java will need a data type. We all know that int or boolean or string, all these are the data types. So we are going to learn about how many data types we have available in Java and how much storage they take in the memory, and also we are going to learn about implicit and explicit conversion in Java in respect to the data types. Okay, so let's get started. So basically there are two wider range divided for the data types in Java. One is primitive data type, and then second one is non-primitive. So mostly primitive are also called as the basic data type. Those are the simple already built-in data type in Java. So those are again subdivided into the numeric data type and non-numeric data types. So primitive, non-primitive, primitive further divided into numeric and non-numeric. So numeric again, so let's go to this. Numeric has data types as short, right? And then we have int. Okay, and before short, basically we have byte, and then we have short, then we have int, then we have long, we have float, and then we have double. So all these are the numeric data types in Java. And if we talk about the non-numeric data types, then we have boolean. We all know boolean means storing true or false value. And then we have char. So these are the basic ones. Now let's take a quick look on what are the non-primitive. So non-primitive can be many. The string, first one is the string, because the string is nothing but the combination of character, right? So that is why it's there in the non-primitive. Or we can say array, and even class is also an example of non-primitive data type. So now first let's talk about in memory point of view. Let's suppose you declare any variable with int or boolean or char. How much memory does it take in the Java virtual machine, also called JVM? So let's start with byte. We already know 1 byte equals to 8 bit, right? Short takes 2 bytes. Okay, int takes 4 bytes, long takes 8 bytes, float again takes 4 bytes, and double takes 8 bytes. So what does this mean? Anytime you declare a variable int abc equals to something, then that means immediately it is going to take 4 bytes into the memory. Boolean is just true false. That means 0, false, true, 1. So it always takes just 1 bit. And character takes 2 bytes, right? So now these are the basic data types, and these are the size. How much size do they take? And again, here, if we talk about again, let's take an example over here. I will come to the non-primitive after some times, but let's take an example here. Let's suppose if I say int, okay, a equals to 10, right? This is just an initialization. So what happens here is, when I say int a, whenever I declare this variable a here, in the memory, the 4 bytes will be assigned. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Similar. And similarly, if I say char, okay, b equals to x. So similarly, x, 2 bytes will be assigned for the memory. Now, so since character takes 2 bytes, if I say string, okay, a string name equals to, let's suppose, Digvijay. Now, why string is there and not here? Because string doesn't have any fixed size, because string depends how many characters are there. So here, because one character takes 2 bytes, so here I said string name equals to Digvijay. Digvijay has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters. So 8 into 2 equals to 16 bytes. So string, if I say this string name equals to Digvijay, it is going to take 16 bytes into the memory. So that is why string is dynamic. And since we are talking about string, let's take an example of array here, right? Why array comes as a dynamic size. If I say array, okay, so if I say int, okay, int, okay, and if I say car equals to, or no, string, let's take a string array, string array equals to, if I say first value like Toyota and second value Honda. So basically there is a 1. So basically it is giving 2 bigger blocks of memory. First index and second index. First Toyota will stay, second Honda will stay. If I add one more like Nano, there will be one more block here. So that is why it is a dynamic. Size will become dynamically, right, on the basis of how many elements we have there in the array. So this is what about just, how from the size perspective. There is one more thing I wanted to talk about here today is, and that is, okay, let me just take this away. Implicit and explicit conversion. Okay, so let's take an example of implicit conversion. Okay, how does implicit conversion really happens in Java? Let's suppose I have a long, okay, I have a long, okay, sum variable. I have declared this, right? Now I have another variable int, okay, where 1 equals to 10, and I have another variable int where 2 equals to 20, right? Now what if I say now sum, this value, sum equals to where 1 plus where 2. Okay, so there is some interesting things happening over here. The sum has data type as long, but where 1 has int, where 2 has int. So what we are going to do, we are going to 10 plus 20, where 1 plus where 2, and then finally the outcome of this we are trying to store into the sum, which is a long. So in these scenarios, the conversion from int, because this is int, to this long, which is sum, happens internally via Java without even the user knowing it, right? So that is why it called as a implicit conversion, because Java internally converting this output 30 into the sum, which has the output as, which has data type as long. So since we are not doing anything internally, Java is doing this conversion. That is why it's called as a implicit conversion. Now let's take a quick example of what is explicit conversion over here, right? So explicit conversion, okay? Explicit conversion. Let's take another example and understand it here, right? Let's suppose I have, okay, again I have float. Okay, I'm taking a float. Float is nothing but which has a decimal. Okay, let's suppose I say to 2.20. So this is going to be a float one. So if I say float a, I just did this variable here, right? Okay, I just declared this one. Now I don't have, I'm just going to reuse these one. If I say float, or I can take this as again sum 2. Okay, float. This sum 2 variable has a data type as float. Okay, so now we will just keep it here so that it is easy to compare here. The first one was sum, and this is sum 2. I am going to say what? var1 plus var2. Now see the difference here. In this condition, the implicit condition 1, Java was able to convert this value internally. That is why it was implicit. But here if we say sum 2 is nothing but a float, it is nothing but a data type as float, and this as int, and this is int. Now here converting from int, because the output is going to be var1 10 plus 20 equals 30. So converting 30, which is int, into the float, Java cannot do it. The implicit conversion cannot happen here. So if you leave it like this, Java will show you an error and you will not be able to proceed ahead. So in order to solution this one, how to solve this one, the programmer, the user will have to explicitly convert the output. So now what we want is, we want this int to be converted at a float. We'll have to write it like this. So this is how you have to write it in the code. Sum2 equals to float in the parenthesis var1 plus var2. So ultimately this is nothing but the explicit conversion, because explicitly a developer, the coder is saying that convert this int into the float explicitly, and that is why you will have to mention the data type here like this. So in today's session we learned about what are the how data types are divided into the Java, and what are the basic data types, and then how the non-primitive data types are derived in a way from a primitive data types in Java. And we have also learned that how memory allocations is been defined once we declared any variable, and at the end we looked around how does actually implicit and explicit conversion happens in the Java. So that is all for today's session. So if you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share and subscribe my channel, which is Pick Up Pencil, and I will see you next time in the next video. Take care. Thank you.